Hello, everyone. It is November 6th when we're recording, probably a lot later than that when you are watching/listening. The offseason is officially upon us. The Rangers are the World Series champions, just like everybody predicted at the start of the season.
I certainly did.
We at BravesKast had the Rangers circled the entire time.
I was the Texas Rangers version of Mattress Mac. I put, $11 million on the Rangers, and now, man, the
Made a
mansion
killing.
I'm living in now is insane.
Yeah, Mitchell's obviously upgraded. I have also upgraded too. I now live in a house instead of a studio apartment. Unfortunately, I am 40 minutes away from where the Braves play instead of a 30-minute walk away. So
Ooh.
sacrifices had to be made, unfortunately. But we are here to talk free agency. Braves have already made some moves. We are a little bit behind, actually. So we'll cover those, and then we will go into some predictions, hopes, wants. Ohtani,
Dreams.
Are you listening?
Dreams on dreams.
We are going to basically put together a 30-minute presentation to Alex Anthopoulos personally about why we should sign Shohei Ohtani, or at least Yamamoto at the very least, because that would also be really cool. And I'd have a
it'd be even better though if it's both of them. Like
both of them, yeah.
$1 billion this offseason just to the two of them.
Yeah.
That
luxury
sounds like a fail-proof plan.
What luxury tax? I've never heard of it. The Braves obviously haven't heard of it. So, Mitchell, do you want to go over some of the moves that the Braves have done so far?
Yeah, so the Braves were going to have 4 free agents: Kevin Pillar, Jesse Chavez, Pierce Johnson, and Joe Jimenez. They only have 2 because before free agency began, they locked up Johnson on a 2-year, $14.25 million contract, and Joe Jimenez for 3 years, $26 million. I'm a fan of both. Cole is not a fan of one of them. But
yeah, so Pierce Johnson, I really like. I feel like we got, what is it, gold out of a haystack, or we struck gold with him with that trade. Joe Jimenez is a little bit weirder. I just don't know about giving one thing just a reliever 3 years. It just seems like I know that doesn't seem like that much, but it just seems like a huge commitment to give to a position that has so much volatility. I know Joe Jimenez has been solid. I mean, he was an all-star with the Tigers. He was a guy that points we were trusting in the later innings. But 3 years at 8.3 AAV, it seems a little bit of a stretch for me. I just don't trust relievers like that. I have trust issues when it comes to them. Obviously, I've been watching baseball my entire life. I've been watching Braves postseason baseball my entire life. It's understandable. It just seemed a little bit like not even an overpay, just an overcommitment in my mind. If this was a 2-year deal, fine, with an option. If it was a 2-year deal with a mutual option or a team option, I'm okay with it. But committing 3 years to a reliever who really it took you half a season to fully trust. I mean, he was a cleanup guy as far back as June. Little on the fence about it.
Yeah, and I get 3 years to a reliever. We did give Will Smith 3 years. It worked out for exactly 28 days.
And it was a very vital 28 days.
It was a fun
granted.
28 days.
Yeah.
Probably Cole's going to be on the right end of things where his first 2 years are okay, and that third year falls apart. Or, with relievers, there are plenty of of injuries that could come.
Maybe it falls apart next year, but then he ends up being one of the best relievers in 2025. It's just there's so much volatility, and maybe that's what Alex Anthopoulos is paying for. But what was the Will Smith contract? That was 3 over
39.
39. God,
that was a big overpay.
We really overestimated Will Smith.
If there was not November 2nd, 2021, I think we look back on that whole contract.
He kind of had to. He was like, "Oh shit, my time's running up. I really gotta."
But as we found out, the secret to the World Series is Will Smith. So Alex
Yeah.
Anthopoulos knew. It took an extra year, but now we've learned that lesson. Going to some other of the other deals, Sam Hilliard was DFA'd and he was claimed by the Orioles. That guy was a interesting dude, very fast, good defense. He hit the ball really hard, but he only hit the ball like one out of every 10 swings or something. I think he rocked a 42.5% K rate. He has
Wow.
I don't know how much you can say for like a 28-year-old center fielder who is probably slowing down. If he could make contact just a little more, he could have been a star, but we'll
He
probably not miss him too much
Look, what can I
on the
say? He,
roster.
he was a good depth piece. He kept the Rays afloat while Michael Harris was out. I don't think we're. I mean, I think we're a few wins short of what we ended up with if we didn't have Sam Hilliard and somebody like even Kevin Pillar was having to shoulder the load when Harris was out with his back injury. But I really liked him. Yeah, he barely made contact. I was at his 2-homer game, the Spencer Strider game against the Marlins, is what most people refer to it as. But in my mind, it's the Sam Hilliard game, and every true Braves fan knows that. So he will be missed.
I don't think I'm a true Braves fan. I might need to quit. I have no recollection of him hitting two homers.
It happened. He was the spark that carried the Braves that day. Nobody else.
Nobody else.
He will be missed, but that's journeyman outfielder. You're just going to be bouncing around from team to team. It's kind of hard to really, you'd want to improve depth wise over a guy like Hilliard, but I hope he does well for the O's. I don't think he's really going to find much more playing time with them, considering who they have coming up.
I think he's a guy who bounces for a few rounds and ends up on the Oakland A's. And then that's on a playing time basis for a guy who's trying to figure it out. Might be just what he needs.
Starting center fielder for the 2028 Las Vegas A's, Sam Hilliard, everybody.
All-star for the 2028 Las Vegas Athletics. The Braves made a bunch of roster moves today. Today was the deadline for team options, so they had 5. They declined options on Eddie Rosario, Brad Hand, Kirby Yates, and Colin McHugh. The only real surprises, and they're not even that big, were Rosario and Yates. Yates, you would be paying him more than he was worth, but because of his $1.5 million buyout, a lot of people were arguing that the Braves would essentially only be dedicating $4.5 million. But I think one of the issues the Braves had this past season is they had no optionability in the bullpen. So if they had a lot of bullpen heavy games, they didn't have a guy they could send down and call up a fresh arm. And I think letting go of Yates and Hand and McHugh kind of help out with that. Rosario is interesting, and Cole and I will get into this later. At first, I was like, man, $9 million for a league average left fielder. Gold Glove nominee, Eddie Rosario. He should have actually won it, if I'm going to be honest. We'll get to that too. But now that we've looked at the left field options, I think Alex Anthopoulos has a lot of potential to make some really solid moves in left field. And if all else fails, a 2-year contract, Eddie Rosario, bringing him back, I could see that happening too. The one option that was picked up was Uncle Charlie, Charlie Morton. I thought he was retiring, to be honest. The way he talked in the
You have every reason
division
to believe.
clinching game, I thought he was the saddest dude I've ever seen in a celebration.
Yeah, but you know what? He wanted to pitch. He wanted to pitch one more postseason game, and I'm not saying that was the driving factor. Charlie Morton's a weird player. I've noticed where a lot of what fueled his decision to pitch for the Tampa Bay Rays was the fact that just like that's where he lives. I mean, that's his off-season home. He just wanted to be grilling steaks outside of Tropicana on his off days.
He's got 5 kids. He's like, hey, I mean, if I can be close to my kids, that's it.
Yeah. And then going to the Braves again, just it was familiar. I don't think we're talking about Charlie Morton pitching into his late 30s if the Braves don't offer him a contract. And that's not to say that he's not been worth every penny. I'm just saying he would have, he's not pitching for the Cubs is what I'm saying. He's not pitching for the Seattle Mariners. He likes to be local.
Going this far north for him was a big deal.
It really was. So I'm glad he's been really the leader, I would say, of the rotation. And just every time they show the dugout, and they'll show somebody like Adrian Smith-Shawver, Kyle Wright, the first person they went to, if it wasn't Craney, the first person they went to was Charlie Morton. He was always the guy who was, imparting his wisdom, because he's been through pretty much every stage a pitcher can go through in his career. So
I still hate the Pittsburgh Pirates pitching staff circa 2010 to 2019.
Yeah.
I would go out on a limb and say that if it wasn't for the pitching staff, we're talking about potential Hall of Famer Charlie Morton. Because the guy put 4 miles an hour on his fastball in his age 34 season, and increased his K rate by like 3 strikeouts per 9.
Yeah. I mean, he's
90. I think 90% of his WAR has come since he started pitching for the Phillies.
You take out 2022, and I would argue he's been a top 10 pitcher since 2018.
His 2023 was really good. I think a lot of Braves fans hated watching him because he hits those left-handed batters on those 1-2 counts with the curveball. He has these ridiculous innings where he walks like 5 batters. But on the aggregate, he had a great season.
Yeah.
I'm actually very happy. I was going to be sad if he retired, if I'm going to be honest.
Same, yeah. And I mean, he's still got plenty left in the tank too. So, glad that his option was picked up. All right, yeah. So, do we want to go into my game?
Yeah, it's crazy prediction times.
Crazy? Okay, let's do crazy prediction times. All right.
We're going to go crazy.
You have a lot of these. I only have one. I feel like you covered the bases here.
Here's the thing. The Braves don't have a lot of needs. They may need to add a third starter. So right now we're looking at Fried, Strider, Morton, Elder, but they need another starter. They need a high quality starter. Going in relying on just 4 starters is a fool's errand. They need a left fielder, and that's it. That really is it. They've got their backup infielder. I'd be shocked if they don't tender a contract to Nicky Lopez. They've got, center field, right field, first base, second base, shortstop, third base locked up, catcher. It's probably going to be a boring offseason.
Yeah.
So to counter it,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's what you want for a team. But so to counter it, we've got to just like say our dream wants, our dream predictions. I started pushing this back in the trade deadline. I see it as something that's plausible. Ronald Acuna Jr. wants it.
Yeah, he's very vocal about it.
Said it on Twitter. I want the Braves to go out and get Juan Soto. He has 1 year left on his contract before he becomes a free agent. The Padres had to take out like a $50 million loan because they couldn't pay for their payroll. They said that's normal.
It's a little overblown. That story was a little overblown. I think that was just trying to like throw more fire on the Padres' dysfunctional. I'm not saying they're not.
Hey, we're lighting that fire. We're taking that story and we're pretending that it is as big of a deal as it is.
Yeah, I don't think
I'm shipping out Bryce Elder and Vaughn Grissom for 1 year of Juan Soto, and that would be the dumbest thing I think a GM could do. But man, could you imagine Juan Soto in left field?
AJ Preller, because I mean, I know it's only 1 year, but I don't know if you've seen some of other people's predictions, the Juan Soto wish list. I just don't know if Bryce Elder and Vaughn Grissom are going to cut it, unfortunately, especially for
2023 All-Star Bryce Elder.
Yeah, I know he's got control. Vaughn Grissom's got potential.
40 game on base streak. Vaughn Grissom in AAA, 22 years old. I just feel like
we're a few cards short. I feel like we're a few cards short of a full deck, unfortunately.
MLB quality. MLB quality. I'm not making this phone call. MLB quality players for one season of a guy who, he's overrated according to a lot of people on Twitter. He has a bad attitude according to some people on Twitter. The San Diego doesn't need that negativity in the clubhouse. They have clubhouse cancer. Just, give it
Manny
to
Machado is their
Atlanta.
Clubhouse leader. I mean, come on.
Come on,
you don't
just
need that.
Soto will make your
negativity in Manny Machado's clubhouse.
Yeah, no, we can't have Soto. Padres, you don't want Soto, and we're giving you we're overpaying. We're overpaying because we're giving you an MLB All-Star with 4 years of control.
Yeah, and that's a totally. I mean,
than that.
As an Alex Anthopoulos move too. I mean, if we know anything for Alex Anthopoulos, he will trade the farm away for 1 year of or if we're being realistic here, trade
13?
and then extend.
Trade and extend.
Yeah.
And of course, 1% to the Braves Foundation.
Yeah, I mean, we forget that Juan Soto is, like 24, 25, like younger than Acuna. I mean, we forget that he's still really stupidly young.
I think he just turned 25 3 weeks ago.
So we could dish out a 10-year deal, and he's only going to be 35. And honestly, for like a left fielder it's not like his skill set matters on his. I mean, all skill sets matter on physicality, but a lot of his skill sets going to age spectacularly well. I mean, he's still. I would say he's still a 3-WAR player when he's 35.
But his defense, Padres, Preller, his defense is going to decline so badly, and walk rates. Just look at what happened to Albert Pujols. You can't trust that walk rate. Elder and Grissom. That's all it needs.
And then in all caps, you have sign Shohei. Do you care to elaborate?
So, imagine Shohei Ohtani in a Braves uniform. I don't care about the money. I don't care about the years. Just imagine that. It makes me happy. It makes you happy. It makes everybody happy.
All the business. I mean, baseball is such a weird sport where we're not really a sport built around our superstars. We're not like the NBA. We're not like the NFL. We don't have our Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift is freaking Cole Tucker, a minor league player who is married to Vanessa Hudgens. And nobody cares about that. Nobody's dressing up as Cole Tucker for the Reno Aces and Vanessa Hudgens for Halloween. So we're not really a sport centered around superstars, except for Shohei Ohtani. Just the amount of people that would drive hour, and not that they're not doing it anyway. The people that would drive from Nashville. I mean, you're just going to attract. It's almost you're taking advantage more so of the fact that the Braves have such a far reach in the Southeast that people are going to drive from like all these distances just to see Shohei Ohtani play. At Truist.
I mean, I would make a bad financial decision to, one, go to Atlanta for opening day to watch Shohei Ohtani's debut, and two, spending way too much money on like 5 or 6 different jerseys for Ohtani. Every single one that comes out.
So many poor benefactors of White Flight are going to go bankrupt buying Shohei Ohtani stock in the state of Georgia. It could happen. I mean, look, nobody said anything about the Braves, but the Braves have always been a dark horse contender for these types of signings. He's not. I know some people have talked about him doing a 1-year deal. I don't know why he would.
There's no way he takes a 1-year deal.
Yeah,
that'd be dumb of him.
Yeah, so that's the
all
only
I know
way
is that the Braves are going to need
it.
The Braves are going to need another ace pitcher to go along with Strider in 2025.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're going to need another DH. In 2025 too.
And the other thing too is think about how good Shohei Ohtani was with the Angels, a team that I would argue just suck away the lifeblood of most of their players. Like, imagine him playing for a perennial World Series contender that will take care of him. We're not going to make him throw a complete game against the Tigers on a doubleheader. Yeah,
no.
we're not going to baby him. We're not going to do the, God, who was the manager before Joe Madden?
Brad Ausmus.
Yeah, we're not gonna like Brad Ausmus it. We're not gonna. I mean, we're still gonna let him fly. I mean, we're just gonna let Shohei do Shohei things, but we're not gonna be stupid about it. We're not gonna.
We also need to
We're
counter
gonna treat him right.
the negativity in the universe. I know a lot of Phillies fans subscribed to watch a meltdown that didn't happen when we recorded after we lost to the Phillies. Phillies fans, if you have watched 20 minutes into this podcast, I don't know what you're doing, but also you're probably going to get Mike Trout at some point, and we need to balance that negativity.
I hope the Phillies get Mike Trout.
I
love Mike Trout, but I hope the Phillies get Mike Trout. I hope they sell the farm for him. I hope they give them Andrew Painter, and
they should give him Brandon Marsh back to the Angels too.
Yeah, I mean they could.
We need to balance there. You can't have Mike Trout on the Phillies and nothing going, to the Braves or the other. Maybe the Marlins are the only other NL East team where I'm like, this isn't acceptable. Although, if Shohei Ohtani came to the Nationals, that might be a nice thing for me personally.
Yeah, get to see a lot of Shohei Ohtani.
Anyway, Alex Anthopoulos,
make it happen.
You know what you need to do.
Next up on your list, not in all caps. A little offended.
Actually, it's a question mark too.
Yeah. Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I saw him pitch at the World Baseball Classic. He was awesome. I mean, he was kind of the low-key kind of the guy who kept the Samurai Japan in the game. He has a career 1.72 ERA. I know the competition
at the top level in the MPB across 7 years.
Again, MPB is somewhere between AAA and MLB. I don't want to call it like the Quad A league, but I mean, hey, like think of all the players who dominated in the MPB who ended up dominating.
If he has a 172 ERA in the MPB, that's like a 230 ERA in MLB. And that's his career ERA. That's not just like this year. That's not like a 1 year thing for him. He's been doing this for 7 years.
Yeah, his stuff plays.
If the Braves don't sign him, he's going to the Mets. Like, we can't let that happen.
Yeah. I mean, he would be such a good piece. Unfortunately, as we've noted many times in the past, the Braves have, as you can probably tell by my pronunciation of his name, the Braves haven't really signed many players from Japan. We don't have a great track record for it. Maybe that changes.
We've signed exactly one player directly from Japan, and we did him so dirty. We just exiled him in Mississippi. Sorry, Kenshin Kawakami.
Yeah, we won't do that to you.
We won't do that to you.
We'll treat you right here.
We'll at least maroon you in Gwinnett.
God. And then the last one you have is Jordan Montgomery. Obviously, he was pretty much the Rangers' number 2 for a number 2 on a World Series winning team. A crafty lefty, former Yankee, Cardinal, now Ranger. I feel like he's going to get a premium. I think he's going to get the same type of deal Nate Eovaldi got after 2018, which I think that's he's been an innings eater. He's really only gotten better throughout the years. Having 2 upper end lefties in your rotation, I'm not like a huge fan of personally, but this is your take, so I'm gonna let you.
This is Monty. The casual baseball fan viewer in me, where I just watched the playoffs and I went, "Hey, that left-handed guy is pretty good. He's doing really well." And Montgomery's a really good pitcher, but I'm definitely overreacting to the short sample playoffs where he came out of the bullpen during the ALCS because the Rangers bullpen is kind of weird, and then he pitched great like throughout the playoffs, and now I'm like, hey, let's sign this guy because he did well in the playoffs and really no other bias. I think he's gonna sign for like 25 mil AAV. I don't know the years.
How old is he? He's like early 30s.
He's like 31, I feel like.
Yeah. And given giving that kind of AAV to a pitcher in his 30s. But I mean,
it worked out. It worked
Yeah.
out once for the Washington Nationals, so
yeah, and
surely it's gonna work this time, even though it doesn't
and
almost
I
ever
always feel more comfortable giving a finesse pitcher money later into his career because he doesn't. Kind of the same with Juan Soto. It's like he's not relying as much on his physicality as much as just his what would you call them? Soft skills, mental skills. I'm not too mad about if I saw that we signed Jordan Montgomery to like a 3-year, $25 million deal. Like I'm celebrating.
I'd be very happy. I don't think he'll settle for 3 years though.
No,
I think that's the issue with everything on my list is like theoretically the Braves could make offers for all of them, but the cost they don't have the bidding power that other teams have.
Yeah, just Braves aren't going to sign a pitcher to a 5-year deal or more.
Like as much as I would sign Shohei Ohtani to a 13-year, $700 million contract, I know Alex Anthopoulos wouldn't do half of it in the years or the dollars. So,
my only, I guess you could say, crazy one is I've actually been fascinated by how the Milwaukee Brewers are going to be approaching their offseason. I believe they're going to do a soft punt. Brandon Woodruff, one of their best pitchers, is out with next year he didn't have Tommy John surgery, but he had a shoulder surgery. Okay, thanks, Zoom. So Alex Anthopoulos is definitely a man of opportunity. He took advantage of the unique situation that was going on in Oakland to get our current first baseman as well as starting catcher. He has made moves with the Brewers in the past, actually in that same deal that got us Sean Murphy. We sent Wild Bill over to Milwaukee. So
I still know what
I was
doing.
thinking about a possible trade where the Brewers are going to be doing a soft reboot, and we could trade 2 pieces that will help them in the near future, and then a low-level lottery ticket, just like, hey, have this guy. He might be something, but no skin off your bones if he's not. For 1 year of Corbin Burnes, that would give us a starting rotation of Spencer Strider, Corbin Burnes, Max Fried, Charlie Morton, and then who would you pick as our 5th starter in that situation? I mean,
Elder.
Yeah. So that's a pretty solid. I mean, not that starting pitching was really like a huge issue for us in the postseason, even though we only got a 4-game sample. It's going to be hard to beat that rotation come October. But what do you think about my?
I mean, the Brewers are in shambles. Right before we recorded this, Craig Counsell decided to jump ship to the Cubs of all places, and I think it was the president of the Brewers wasn't very happy about it. He said, "Craig's the one who really lost out.
Yeah, that was a
he
funny
lost
quote.
out on us."
I thought that was a fact sports for a second. I was like,
did
that's
too.
no way, that's a real quote. And then check your sources. Yep.
So that that type of emotion leads to a lot of irrationality. And when you're hurting, when you're going through a breakup like the Brewers owner, I think the Brewers president is going through right now, sometimes they just trade a Cy Young caliber starter to an NL team for not that much. I could see it happening. I honestly, I could see the Brewers just, they don't, I mean, what do they have besides Burnes? They have Contreras, who they got for free for no reason.
Peralta.
I mean, they have Adames.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be in a position to contend. I mean, they have a strong farm system. Christian Yelich is just, he's going to be an 800 OPS guy pretty much the rest of his career. I mean, he improved a little bit this year. Like that's
what I'd do to go back to 2018, 2019 and see that guy again.
Yeah. It was an insane time. So I don't, I think they're just in a position where they just need to retool. They are a small market team. And I think Alex Anthopoulos, the savvy GM that he is, I could see him saying, hey, like, you're not selling the farm or anything. I mean, Vaughn Grissom, pretty much, I think at this point for Braves fan is just universally known more as a trade piece than
He's gonna be our Clint Frazier.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's just in every trade room. Like we just and I don't think it's anything against Vaughn Grissom. We just are like biting at the chomp to just ship him out of here for whatever
He's the
dream
only tradable guy
package.
we got.
Yeah. I mean, Ohtani trade rumors, Soto trade rumors. Grissom is always at the bottom of it. I mean, it's kind of Clayton Kershaw to the Rangers level memeage right now. So I mean, Grissom, I think I love him. He's expendable. I think the Brewers could really use a controllable bat, a controllable outfield bat who could, maybe play shortstop if, they eat enough magic beans or give him enough magic beans. Smith Shawver, that's probably the riskiest trade piece. But I think we have enough pitching depth for the future where we're not really going to be too concerned about it, at least in my mind.
Trading Smith Shawver terrifies me because I feel like he's the Schrodinger's cat of trades, where if you keep him, he's awful. He doesn't ever develop. He's that guy you should have traded. But if you trade him, then he turns into, Mike Mussina or something.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
excellent, amazing starter, always underrated. And you go, man, why did we trade him? But you can't know for sure unless you.
But just imagine having Corbin Burnes. I mean, just that, like, going into an NLDS. Like, we are NLDS proof if we go in with Corbin Burnes as our
We did
number
say
one, number two.
we did say that we were slump proof.
Yeah.
We did say we were slump proof.
Yeah. So, anyway, when we get back, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to play a special game that pretty much every Braves fan is going to be playing this winter, as well as more realistic wants, more in the ballpark of possibility. So we will discuss those two when we get back. Thank you for watching, and see you on the flip side. And we are back on the first ever off-season edition of BravesKast. So we just went over our very realistic wants, where we laid out a detailed plan about how we could both get Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Jordan Montgomery, and Corbin Burnes all at the same time. If you were not tuned in, I recommend going back. We had a PowerPoint. We had a detailed essay with footnotes
Of how we could trade Vaughn Grissom twice, once to the Padres,
exactly. Yeah,
once to the Brewers.
Yeah, Alex
It was
Anthopoulos
really, I have to
masterclass.
give it to you. That was a solid plan that you had for the Grissom double up.
I wouldn't have been able to do it if you didn't, spark the idea with the Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani sign and trade package. So, yeah, I mean, Braves. If you need any front office hirings, I am very proficient in Microsoft Excel, and I did take a class on SQL or SQL as they call it in the industry. So, just saying, if y'all
I do
y'all have some
not
openings.
quite have those qualifications. I can do formulas on Excel, but hey,
that works too. That's
if you
all
need,
you need.
someone in the room who can just go, yes, no. My uncle used to say that my opinions on baseball players were like, if I wanted someone to be in the Hall of Fame, even if they should be in the Hall of Very Good, it was just I need my own Hall of Very Good candidacy. So I'm that guy. I'm like those bad opinions. You need bad opinions.
Yeah,
You've got a bunch
you
of
need-
brainiacs in your front office
You need
telling
some
you
fall guys.
telling you like, hey, you need to go out there and sign this guy because he has 99 percentile extension and a 85th percentile fastball. And I'm out there going, if every pitcher pitched like Greg Maddux, we wouldn't need velocity.
When y'all need a fall guy for when you sign Jorge Soler to a 7-year, $300 million contract and it doesn't work out, we'll take the fall. We'll be like, yeah, we thought it was a good idea.
Just
Looked
give
like
me
a good idea on paper.
a $2 million severance, and we're good.
Yeah, that's plenty. I would take a $500,000 severance, easy. Anyway, so we're gonna go into our realistic wants. Honestly, do you want to just play the game? Go ahead.
Yeah,
and,
let's play the game.
Get started. All right, roll the music. There is no music. We are going to play a game.
Could
called...
you put TV audience noise in too?
Sure. Yeah. Do some. Get a production on this podcast. I mean, we do have 350 subscribers now, so it's. I think it's finally time to use my YouTube sound effect knowledge, to up the production budget. So we're going to play a game called Who Do You Want as Your Left Fielder? I have a few contestants. Mitchell, you have some as well, or you might have some as well. They might be the same as mine.
I think you got the same ones as I do, except we have one different one.
Let's see, who is that? Oh, yeah. It is funny how much people are pining for your mystery contestant. So, contestants, enter stage left. We have Jason Hayward, former Brave Jason Hayward. Jorge Soler, former Brave Jorge Soler. Cody Bellinger, Lourdes Gurriel
Former
Jr.
Braves
and
killer.
Former Braves killer. Am I right?
I'm never gonna forget that fastball by Luke Jackson that was here.
Yeah.
Bellinger decided to smoke it out.
And then we have Randall Grichuk. So let's go over the contestants. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Starting with Jason Hayward. First thing, now I just want to point out with Jason Hayward is that we could totally just do what the Cardinals did with Albert Pujols, where we let the Dodgers fix him, and then we just reap all the benefits. We sign him to a team-friendly deal because, hey, I mean, he's debuted with the Braves. He grew up in Gwinnett County. He actually grew up very close to where I live now. So, I could drive to where he went to high school. It's 20 minutes away. He was really good last year, 818 OPS. The Dodgers pretty much just protected him from lefties. That was the secret the entire time. Just don't let him face lefties. So we will, if we do sign him, we will most likely need to platoon him. Guess how many plate appearances he had against lefties last year?
30.
28. You're very close.
Yeah.
He actually hit 2 homers against them. He had a very weird slash line. It was 150, 233, 500 slug. He hit 2 homers against lefties, and they were AJ Puck and then some guy on the Athletics whose name, fortunately, is not worth remembering right now.
So
what are your thoughts?
A and a current A.
Yes.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Jason Hayward as our potential match?
Well, first of all, if we do follow the Pujols route, when Jason Hayward hits his 700th homer in September, it is going to be immaculate.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of Hayward. I don't think Braves fans realized how good he was. There was a point when we played the Dodgers in that August-September series where Hayward actually had a higher WRC plus than Austin Riley.
Yeah.
I think he finished slightly lower, but that's incredible. He did hit more homers with the Dodgers this past year than he had since he was with the Cardinals, I think, or homer per plate appearance.
It was his. You're talking about his 2015 with the Cardinals, but yeah, I mean, it was a 4% homer rate, something crazy for him.
His big flaw with the Cubs was he forgot how to hit the ball in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Shockingly, he goes to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers fixed him. I believe that Jason Hayward's 2023 is for real.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's, 33, 34 now?
He's up there in age.
He's not going to beat the aging curve.
I mean, he's at the point I was just gonna say he's at a point in his career where he's just gonna be signed in 1-year deals, and that's music to my ears, and most likely music to Alex Anthopoulos' ears. And then just the leadership he provides. I mean, we all remember the 2016 World Series where it was Game 7, Cubs are down, after coming back from a 3-1 series deficit. Rain delay. Jason Hayward gives a speech that apparently, brought the entire team to tears and pretty much rallied them to end up making a comeback and winning Game 7. So, he is team leader. Just everybody who plays with him speaks so highly of him. And I think we kind of needed that. I don't want to call out any single player, but during the NLDS, there definitely was a lack of a rallying cry, a unified rallying cry, it seemed. And I feel like Jason Hayward would fit so perfectly in that role in my mind.
Yeah, I could see Hayward getting a multi-year contract after this past year. Like, not a 3-year, but I could see him getting like a 2-year with a mutual option or something.
Yeah.
I actually advocated for Hayward last year. It was one of my first articles I wrote at House That Hank Built because I knew he would be inexpensive. This year he will be slightly more expensive, but he still plays solid defense if you're not playing him in center, and the Braves will likely not play him in center unless something happens to Michael Harris. We don't need him to play center. And if his loft is for real, if he's fixed that ground ball issue, that could be a 110 WRC plus with better defense than Rosario. So we could upgrade and have, a player who's 10-15% better than Rosario. I would be in on Hayward, if not for a few other guys on this list.
Yeah. Also, lefty bat. I think it balances the lineup. I know it pretty much means we have to give him a platoon partner, but I think if we don't trade Vaughn Grissom, possibly, just against lefties, because Vaughn Grissom kills lefties. Next up, we have Jorge Soler, who we both agree should receive a 7-year, $300 million contract, just based on what he did in 2020 alone. How do you feel about Mr. Soler?
Soler is, I think some of the guys you have on the list, one of the guys has the potential to have a much better season than Soler. Soler is the guy I want, though. He just, with the Braves lineup, he doesn't need to be the sole run producer like he was in Miami. I think that would let him be a little more patient than he has been with Miami. And this is not to discount him. He had a 130 WRC plus. He was an all-star with the Marlins. I think with the Braves, he could be an even better hitter. I think his defense is not as bad as advertised in left field.
I think
it's not good, but it's not.
I think the only one of the outfielders that we got in 2021 who was like a truly horrendous outfielder was Jock Peterson.
And we played him in center for some reason until someone finally got the bright idea to realize that Adam Duvall
is a good center fielder.
Is a good. It's shocking that you could take a Gold Glove caliber left and right fielder and put him in center, and he'd perform better than
we can Jock. Get to Adam Duvall too. Jorge Soler, he's such a wild card. I feel in left field you just want a player like I don't care about having a high ceiling. We have those guys. We just need a stabilizer. I just want a guy who's going to play at least 120 games, solid defense, at the very worst, solid defense. And hey, if he puts up a 110 WRC plus, then that's a bonus. Jorge Soler, I'm so afraid. And this is just the fan of me talking. Also the legacy too. Eddie Rosario, he will forever be a Braves legend. I don't think anything that happened in the last 2 years muddied that in any way. But I'm always scared. I'm always scared that, we always have the memories from 2021. I get that. But, we signed Jorge Soler to a, 3-year, like 50 million? Maybe that's, what would you say for a 3-year deal?
I think 3-year, 50 to 60 million is what he's going to get.
50 to 60 million. And it just doesn't work out. And for whatever reason, we are not as dominant as a team as we thought. And for some reason, Jorge Soler becomes the scapegoat. Unless, of course, the Braves hire us and then we become the scapegoat, obviously. But I'm always afraid, and Jorge Soler, he's had some amazing years. He's also had some awful, awful years. I mean, he was one of the worst outfielders when we picked him up from the Royals in 2021. So, I think for me, you and me, our difference is we just want kind of two different things. I'm more like I want the steady hand, and you're just like, ball go boom. Like,
well, yeah, I think you've got a lot of fair points. Soler's really only had 2 healthy seasons in his career. 2019 when he hit 48 bombs with the Royals, and 2021 when he was terrible for about four months. It's so funny to go back if you ever go back and look at like the reactions to when the Braves were dropping all of these trades. Duvall, some positive, some negative. Jock Peterson, mostly positive. There were some Braves fans who didn't like Jock's attitude, but mostly positive. And I think that was mostly because it showed that Anthopoulos wasn't going to punt after Acuna went down. Eddie Rosario was just kind of like, who is this guy? Jorge Soler was almost all negative. If you go back and look at anything that came from August 1st, 2021, it's just like, this guy is batting 190. Why would we trade a prospect for this guy? And he had a great season for the Braves. He was healthy, but he hasn't been healthy fully with the Marlins in either season. So
yeah,
I completely understand. If your priority is a guy who can consistently go out there and play, and it doesn't necessarily have the ceiling that Soler does offensively, I get it. That makes sense to me.
Next up is Cody Bellinger. We're not going to get Cody Bellinger. It's not going to happen.
I also don't believe in Cody Bellinger. Like, I think he has the potential to have a better season. This is a guy I think who could have a better season than Soler, definitely than Hayward. But he didn't actually fix his power. Like, if you go and look at his stats compared to when he went God mode in 2019, he had a high BABIP. He was hitting the ball on the ground a lot more. He was not that guy who could hit 35, 40 bombs anymore. His defense is still good. I don't know why both the Dodgers and the Cubs insisted on playing him at first base.
His 2019 too. I mean, you think about it. I mean, it was inflated by a monster first half. He reminds me a little bit, weirdly enough, of like Josh Bell, a hitter who's like very solid. Just when it's not going right, though, such a mechanically. We've said this about a few players on the Braves. Like, just mechanically a swing you do not want to teach someone. Like, if your kid is swinging the bat and his swing looks like Cody Bellinger's, you gotta get that out of him. It's just most likely not going to work. It only works for Cody Bellinger. So when that thing is off mechanically or timing wise, it can get very ugly, and also propped up by a super inflated first half of a season that most people it's really funny, our reactions to 2019, because now that we are 4 years separated from it, a lot of people, from what I've seen, are kind of treating it the same way they've treated 2020. Like, it was just a fluke of a season, just because of the rabbit ball, because of the fact that 2019 set their own franchise home run record that year. I saw somebody talking about Yoan Moncada of the White Sox today, where his best season was 2019. He has just not done anything else since, and they're just like,
Danny
might have been
Santana hit 23 homers in 2019.
I thought he hit 28.
So, did he have 28?
He
might have had 28. I think he actually had 28.
Blow your mind. Brett Gardner in his last season hit 28 homers as well in 2019. It was 28. Yep, 28 homers.
Danny Santana could not find a spot on the Braves roster. Hit 28 home runs for the Rangers.
He had an 857 OPS and a 112 OPS plus. Granted, he played in Texas. The park factor for their old stadium was ridiculous, but still, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think so. We're in agreement. No to Bellinger. Yeah.
No to Bellinger. He's also going to command center fielder money. And we're not going to play him in center. We have Michael Harris. No. Next up, I think this is who you're referring to. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Are you a Lourdes Gurriel Jr. fanboy?
I'm not a Lourdes Gurriel.
Okay,
Jr.
good. Okay, I'm not either.
The guy I was talking about that had more potential than Soler would be Bellinger, but I don't believe in Bellinger. I also don't. Okay. Man, Gurriel has he gives me like right-handed Eddie Rosario vibes.
Yeah.
I didn't really watch him when he was with the Blue Jays. He seems like he's a decent hitter, but man, watching him in the World Series was painful.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Bit of me going, man, he could fit with the Braves, just zapped out because
he looked.
There were,
lost
I think, two
so
instances where, I think it was Game 5. So I turned on the TV, bases loaded, 2 outs. They had Evaldi, psyched out. They had the whole mound visit thing. The stadium's going wild. Evaldi throws a pretty good pitch. And on the first pitch of the at-bat, he just grounds out to shortstop. Just kills it. And then the next 2 innings later, he does the same thing.
Hey, have you heard about his bat speed, though? Every time he was up, that was the only thing they could talk about. Oh, he has the highest bat speed out of anybody in the Diamondbacks. And I'm like, one thing, no. Another thing, like, is there anything else we can talk about? Is there anything else about Lourdes Gurriel Jr.? Look, he's got the purple hair. That's cool. Or, well, I guess if he went to the Braves, he'd probably dye it like blue or red or something. He did that, obviously, just for the Diamondbacks. Yeah, I could see him being overpaid by the Cubs. I just don't see him. Yeah, like, he would be fun on the Marlins with his brother. Yuli.
Is Yuli under contract next year?
I thought he signed like a 3-year deal, but it might have
just
been a 1-year deal.
3-year deal?
It might have just been a 1-year deal. It might have just been a 1-year deal. Let me see this. I might be confusing him with.
He's a free agent, thank God.
Okay. Would be fun though if the Marlins re-sign Yuli on a 1-year contract and get the Gurriel brothers playing in Miami. Yeah, I'm not a huge Gurriel fan. Like, nothing about his game excites me. He was kind of just the most boring player on the Diamondbacks in my mind. Even though he's eccentric as hell. I mean, I would love that personality on the team. I just, I think I spoke way too early, just starting with Hayward, because I think everybody knows where my mind is at. Well, we have 2 more. The last one of before we get to Mitchell's secret contestant is Randall Grichuk.
I think it says something, and I'm sure Grichuk is a great guy, but it says a lot about your performance abilities that when the Angels decide, this isn't working out, we're just going to put everybody on waivers, and who all got Lucas Giolito gets claimed, Ronaldo Lopez gets claimed, Hunter Renfroe, who can't stick on a team longer than 182 days, Mike Moustakas, they all get claimed. You know who doesn't? Randall Grichuk. And then he continues to play. 10, 15 days later, he's on waivers again.
Yeah.
Doesn't get claimed.
Yeah.
He had a bad season with the Angels, and I know the Angels have that effect on people. Unless you're Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani. And both of them have been cursed by the Angels in their own way.
Yeah.
You don't get out alive. No to Grichuk. I did not do any research on my last player.
Oh, speaker from
I
the heart.
have no idea if he was a 100 WRC plus guy or a 115 or even a 120. I think it was like a 110. But Teoscar Hernandez is a free agent. He played for the Mariners this past season. He was someone that some people thought would get a qualifying offer. He did not. Also worth mentioning, Jorge Soler did not get a qualifying offer, which means
Huge.
that the Braves don't lose a draft pick if they sign Soler.
Huge.
And of course, Hayward is not.
OPS plus for Hernandez, by the way. Which
Hernandez gives me a guy who has bad defense, but Nick Markakis vibes I get from Hernandez defensively. Where he's just limited.
I am going to say, too, and I do wonder, just same with 2019, once we have more hindsight and just more data to go off of. His best season came in 2021 with the Blue Jays. He slashed 296, 346, 524, making 870 OPS. Really good numbers. He played half his games, or pretty much half his games, in a minor league stadium. We are talking about, and his best season was 2020, which same deal pretty much, or minor league stadium or their spring training complex. I just don't know how much stock you want to take in those seasons, unfortunately, as much as it pains me to say. He was good in 2022, gets traded to the Mariners. Has like a really weird season. Not a great defender. I mean, he will give you power, but I kind of don't. Same thing with Soler. It's like we don't need any more power. I just want a steadying presence is all. I want somebody who's going to be able to get on base at a decent clip. Somebody who's just going to be able to, not many ebbs and flows in his game. Because Teoscar Hernandez, very similar to, not as extreme, but it's very similar to Cody Bellinger, Josh Bell. When he's off, it is a pain to watch. I mean, I watched a lot of Mariners games this past season. I mean, I've seen him swing and miss at so many fastballs down the middle. I just don't know if I can watch a full season of that.
He's also not a great base runner.
Not at all. Not at all. So
he's such a bad base runner that Foolish Bailey got blocked on Twitter
for pointing it out. Yep.
So he's
a
no for me.
So after all this, who is your left fielder? Who when you see that Braves, that background, Braves announced they signed a left fielder. Who are you the most happy? Whose name are you most happy seeing in that that announcement?
Number one is Jorge Soler for me. Still,
mm-hmm.
I don't see it as very likely. I don't know what team he's going to though. Like I don't have a prediction for Soler, but I would be happy. I would be happy to see number 22 for the Atlanta Braves, Jason Hayward again. It'd be nice.
It'd be really cool.
Be nice to have him back and have him back as a good player.
Yeah.
If he had been brought back last year, I think there would be more skepticism that he could be a good player. This year, I think for baseball fans who paid attention, at least, they know that they're getting a guy who's still good defensively and who can hit righties. The problem, I think, with Hayward is I just don't have an obvious right-handed platoon bat.
Yeah, I mean, the best we got is Vaughn Grissom.
The thing the Braves could do,
but I kind of like that actually. I kind of like the strong veteran presence, and then this like wily, super unpolished rookie like them. Like just seeing. I mean, and it's funny. I praise so much about the consistency where it's like we have two totally different lineups depending if it's a righty or a lefty starting, because their games could not be any more different. But I think it would be a good way to get Vaughn Grissom's feet wet. Obviously, I don't really think he's going to be a Michael Harris, Ron Acuna.
I mean, I
Ozzie Albies
personally
story
don't know if Grissom is going to be on the roster
Oh yeah. Well,
in
like we
spring.
said,
I
mean,
really don't. I think it's 75-25 that he isn't.
I think. How about this? If we trade Grissom for a Corbin Burnes or a Juan Soto, I mean, well, Juan Soto's a different story because he actually is a left fielder. But let's just say we trade for Corbin Burnes, then I don't. I mean, it would be cool to have Jason Hayward, but I would rather have Adam Duvall, possibly. Bring him back.
Yeah.
He was
Duvall
good for the
had
Red Sox.
A weird season. I think he had
he
a
was,
career high WRC plus.
He was on fire. He broke his wrist. I mean, just a freak play. He would love to be back in Atlanta, at least according to my dreams. I love
can't
Adam
wait
Duvall.
for Adam Duvall. Third stint Brave.
Yeah.
The thing about Duvall, though, is he shouldn't be allowed to play for the Braves before July. In 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021, he played for the Braves each of those seasons. He never played a game before July 25th.
So
and
funny.
then, they
That's
ruined
hilarious.
it.
Yeah.
They let him play in April and May and June, and then he got injured. So,
Yeah.
that is a curse to him.
Yeah.
Adam
Never thought
Duvall
about
and the
that.
Braves, but only after July because that's how it should be.
He'll sign a 1-year deal with I don't know, the Nationals or something, and then we're like, he plays against us. He just absolutely crushes the ball every time he sees us, and we're like, yeah, we should get him back.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's
Same
going
thing
to
happened
happen.
21.
And I love when Braves players like him, multi-stint Braves players, they come back, but then their number's been taken. So they have to wear a random number, like Charlie Culberson wore 53 this season.
So before we go, we got 10 minutes left. Okay, let's speed around the rest of this. Do we want to do any more on pitchers? I mean, we pretty much went over realistic ones. You have Tim Anderson on here as a shortstop, which, lay off the smelling salts, please, just for both of us. Do you want to explain yourself?
I don't want Tim Anderson, but I do think that he might get a look. I don't think Arcia has the job security that Alex Anthopoulos says that he does.
Okay, interesting.
But I don't think Tim Anderson's the improvement. So he's out there.
He could
wouldn't
be
surprised if he goes to Japan.
Yeah, he could be a fun spring training invite too. Just
Isn't he from Georgia? He seems like someone who's from Georgia.
I think so. Just, hey, let's see what you look like. I mean, let's see what we can do. And and it's not like it's going to, maybe it sends a message to Arcia where, hey man, just so you know, bring in Tim Anderson. And I mean, dude's a former all-star. If he starts playing well, watch out. I
like the Arcia Nicky Lopez tandem though.
Yeah. And I do wish Tim Anderson well. I mean, he was one of my favorite players, and he just had pretty much as rough a season as anybody could ever have. The only other realistic option I have, looks like we're on the same page here, which I was saying before, you can never have too much starting pitching. I would love to have just one more 3-starter, just in case. I mean, think about it this season. Imagine if instead of Bryce Elder pitching Game 3, we had Marcus Stroman or Sonny Gray even. And I know he got lit up against the Astros, but I still would take Sonny Gray 10 times out of 10 over Bryce Elder. How would you feel if we did sign one of these starters to a 3-year, $54 million deal? And Sonny Gray has actually been kind of cheap. He only made $12 million this year, which is really surprising.
I'm a believer in Sonny Gray, and we didn't even mention this. I wouldn't oppose Aaron Nola.
Aaron Nola,
he has the Rick Krennis connection.
Yeah, I just don't know if we're gonna see eye to eye. I mean, again, the kind of contract I feel like that he's looking for is not the kind of contract that the Braves give to starters.
No, but it could make up for the Braves letting Wheeler go to the Phillies.
That's fair.
I don't believe in Marcus Stroman. Like I think he has too much of a chance of turning into a Kyle Hendricks. Like he just doesn't have the stuff to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
He had a great season this year. I'm not saying Marcus Stroman didn't deserve to have a good season this last year, but he's a small guy who doesn't throw very hard.
Yeah.
So
you just don't want to end up paying for him having a really good season in 2023. But that's what you're paying for, and then he basically turns into a pumpkin. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of really it. I mean, so we've pretty much, left fielder, starter, maybe a few relievers. We didn't relievers are just kind of. I trust whoever we pick up.
I expect there to be some no name who comes to camp, Tyler Matzik, Dylan Lee, those guys who. Also, Tyler Matzik's coming back next year. Where you've never heard of their name. They come to spring training. They look great. They make the roster. You think, oh, they're not going to stick on the roster, and then they stay on the roster the whole season. It's happened each in the last 4 seasons. So
and they're pitching Game 6, the NLCS, a couple years later, one of the most memorable
memories of my life.
Yeah. So, yeah, pretty much. We'll be here all off season. We will try our best to cover everything. Look.
I can't wait to have an emergency pod where we just go crazy that Shohei Ohtani signed for $30 million.
I was gonna say the exact opposite. I was gonna be like, we're not gonna, bust ourselves to do an emergency pod if we sign a backup left fielder.
We are totally. If Shohei Ohtani signs,
we will be basically drinking as much champagne as humanly possible. That would be, yeah. You'll hear it from us first. We'll break it. Actually, we have our connections, aka. I'm just going to sit outside of the Braves front office every day and just ask everybody walking in, hey, so Shohei Ohtani, how's that going? How's the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes? Hey, you offered him a deal?
The No More Fielders tweet that says, I think I just saw Shohei Ohtani walk through the battery. It's going to be so great. I'm
at Hartsfield Jackson and I see Shohei Ohtani rolling by. He's doing the job. What's that about?
Make sure you add Frank Fleming on that one.
So
God, I'm not ready to see Shohei Ohtani with the Dodgers.
I've accepted it already.
It's him. It's that or the Mets, and I'm just not ready.
I'd rather see Shohei Ohtani on the Dodgers than the Mets, honestly. But we'll be here. We'll probably try to at least do an episode a month, and then on top of that, if the Shohei Ohtani signing does happen, you know where to find us.
If the signing happens, we will need some money to pay for our debt to the Shohei Ohtani merchandise fund.
Yeah. So anyway, it's going to be probably a boring off season if we're being honest. Hopefully fun, but most likely boring. Stick around, subscribe. Mitchell writes articles for the house that Hank built. Every time I basically am at a very uncomfortable situation, I need a reason to look at my phone. First thing I go to, house that Hank built. Check me out on YouTube, No More Fielders, and then Mitchell has What Happened to Baseball, as well as The Lefty Catcher.
I hear there's a video about a Diamondback star on a YouTube channel.
Yeah,
that needs to be watched.
Yeah.
So,
Who
could be the greatest Diamondback of all time? That just should be a question that runs through your head.
It's probably just going to stay Randy Johnson, if we're being honest. But hey, you know what? It's always fun to speculate. So anyway, this is Cole from BravesKast.
This is Mitchell. We'll see you when Shohei Ohtani signs.
Woo!